I always think about how I can continue to focus on one thing at a time, do it well, and get it produced, and then move on, and then see how I can optimize it later. Best ever listeners, before we get into today's episode, I want to mention Trevor McGregor. Trevor is a real estate results coach. I've been paying him and working with him for years now. He actually is responsible for giving me the idea to do a podcast. So it's not only about transactions that he gives advice on, how to find more deals, how to make more money, but also how to build a holistic plan around your real estate entrepreneurship endeavors. That's what I love about working with Trevor, that and being held accountable for what I say I'm going to do and actually making sure that I follow through and do it. I feel like I'm a pretty results-oriented, accountable kind of person, but it's always nice to have someone who's there guiding you along the way and giving you strategy as well as psychology tips for how to deal with, the things that come up as a real estate entrepreneur. Trevor has made a wonderful offer for the best ever listeners, and that is that he's offering a free coaching session. Go to coachwithtrevor.com. That's coachwithtrevor.com. Highly recommend him. I've worked with him before. I'm currently working with him right now as my business, as my real estate investing coach. Highly recommend you do the same. Take him up on his offer. Get a free coaching session. coachwithtrevor.com. Best ever listeners, happy Friday. Welcome to the best real estate investing advice ever show. I hope you've had a wonderful week. Today we're doing Follow Along Friday, and if you listened to Sunday's episode, which I assume you did, it was with Rashad Pleasant, and if you didn't, you gotta listen to that one. He talked about, among other things, how he got connected to some pretty high up politicians, how he's speaking to Donovan McNabb's dad, how he is pretty soon going to be speaking to Donovan McNabb. And the other thing that we talked about is a 2-minute challenge. And the 2-minute challenge is to introduce yourself to one person and talk to them for 2 minutes or more every day for this whole week. Now,Sunday is when I was supposed to talk to Rashad, and this coming Sunday I was supposed to talk to Rashad, and we were going to recap the things that we learned from the 2-minute challenge. Well, he's got some stuff going on his end, and we're not able to record the episode for a little while. So what I thought I'd do is I'd give you an update for what I've learned up until this point from this 2-minute challenge, because I've been doing it. Now, I probably expanded the guidelines of the 2-minute challenge so that I could meet people who I haven't had long conversations with or I haven't met in person before, in addition to talking to people for 2 minutes who I come across but I haven't yet had a conversation with. So here's what I've learned. Sunday was Valentine's Day. Colleen and I, my girlfriend and I, went to, of all places, Target for Valentine's Day during the day. She had to go pick up some stuff, so that's what we did. We went to a nice dinner later, but we went to Target during the day. Normally, I would kind of stay back home and do some work, but I knew that I had to get myself out there and do this 2-minute challenge and go introduce myself to a stranger and try and learn something. So I went with her to Target, and I was trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to approach this? I ended up going to the electronics section of Target. I talked to a very nice woman named Priscilla, and Priscilla told me all about 4K TVs. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's kind of weak for you to go to someone who's paid to they're paid to talk to you, and I completely agree. That was weak sauce, but that's what I did Sunday. I'm being very transparent with you. Mentally, I kind of half checked the box, but nonetheless, I talked to Priscilla for over 2 minutes about 4K TVs, how she has a Vizio, how something for sale was a really good deal, etc., etc. I learned more stuff, more insightful things of the following day, so hold on a second if you're like, oh my God. I also met randomly, I came across a teacher who teaches a class at a underserved high school here in Cincinnati, and I know him through volunteering for Junior Achievement. I also volunteered to teach this class, and that was quite a coincidence that I ran into him. So I also talked to him and learned more about what he was doing and, just kind of some miscellaneous small talk stuff. But Monday, so I'm going to skip past Sunday because I talked to Priscilla and I talked to this teacher and didn't really get a insightful lesson from that experience other than I needed to push myself a little bit more. So I work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday with a trainer in the morning, and my trainer on Monday is Caleb. And Caleb is a quarterbacks coach for a college, a Division III school, Mount St. Joe's in Cincinnati. So he's a Division III quarterbacks coach, and he was talking to me about the recruiting process that he is doing. And if you don't know the Division III dynamic with college football, even if you're not a college football fan, this is interesting. And I'm going to apply it to real estate and what we're doing. Division III football players do not receive scholarships like Division I and II football players receive scholarships. Division III football players receive financial aid, but it usually doesn't cover the full cost of what it takes to actually attend the school. And on top of that, a lot of these schools are private schools, so it costs a whole lot of money to attend the private school. Long story short, it's tough to recruit at Division III schools because you don't have a full scholarship offer that you can give a recruit. So the challenge that a Division III football coach has is great. And it's really interesting to hear this because, we can think about this in any number of ways, but, with real estate, if we're up against certain things, we've got a big challenge. So how we're going to go overcome it. And here's how he overcomes his challenge. And this is what I learned during my 2+ minute. It was actually, we were talking probably like 15 minutes throughout the workout. And I learned this from him. He said what he does is he focuses on one recruit at a time. Remember the J. Papazon, Gary Keller book, One Thing? This came to mind as soon as he said that. He focuses on one recruit at a time. And through that focus, he was able to get a tight end last year who ended up being All-American, and it was he's like the top player for the team from what I can tell. And it was done by focusing on one recruit at a time. And whenever I think about this story, since I'm a real estate investor and an entrepreneur, I always think about how I can continue to focus on one thing at a time, do it well, and get it produced, and then move on, and then see how I can optimize it later. That's the kind of the takeaway that I've got from this and my conversation with Caleb. Tuesday, I met with an investor here in Cincinnati, and the takeaway from that meeting is you never know where a meeting will take you. Not literally, but metaphorically speaking. You never know where a meeting will lead or what direction it